Hello students, I'm Sai Baba here. So in the previous class, I was discussing the special cases in the expansion of solids. So I have discussed special case 5 in the previous class. So now I am going to solve a problem based on same special case 5, which I have shown on the screen. Then after solving this problem, I will continue some more special cases in the expansion of solids. So this problem is based on same result which I have discussed in the special case 5 in the previous class. So look at the problem here on the screen. I am going to read out the problem now. A clock is 10 seconds fast each day at a temperature of 15 degrees centigrade and 5 seconds slow at a temperature of 30 degrees centigrade. Then find the temperature at which the clock shows correct time. Let us suppose the clock shows correct time. Let us suppose the clock shows correct time at a temperature of 2 degrees centigrade. Let us suppose the clock shows correct time at a temperature of 2 degrees centigrade. Let us suppose the clock shows correct time at temperature of 2 degrees centigrade. As explained in the previous class, when the temperature of the clock increases above this temperature 2 degrees centigrade at which it shows correct time, then it loses time. And when the temperature of the pendulum clock falls or decreases below this particular temperature 2 degrees centigrade, then it gains time. So given that the pendulum clock gains time 10 seconds fast each day at a temperature of 50 degrees centigrade, the pendulum clock gains time when the temperature falls below this 2 degrees centigrade. That means 15 degrees centigrade must be less than 2 degrees centigrade. As explained in the previous class in case 5, the pendulum clock loses time when the temperature is above this temperature 2 degrees centigrade. In the given problem, the pendulum clock loses 5 seconds each day at 30 degrees centigrade. Therefore, this 2 degrees centigrade must be less than 30 degrees centigrade. Or 30 degrees centigrade more than 2 degrees centigrade. So time lost or gain. Time lost or gained per day when the temperature of the pendulum clock is T dash. Is half alpha into mod of T dash minus T into 86,400 seconds. So at 50 degrees centigrade, the pendulum clock runs 10 seconds fast each day. That means time gained per day can be taken as 10 seconds on the left side. So 50 degrees centigrade is less than 3 degrees centigrade. Therefore, mod of T dash minus T you can write. That means the temperature T dash is equal to 50 degrees centigrade. You can write half alpha and T minus 50 degrees centigrade into 86,400 seconds. Call it as equation 1. So at temperature T dash equal to 30 degrees centigrade, the pendulum clock loses 5 seconds per day. So time lost per day on the left hand side of the equation, you can write it as equal to 5 seconds. That is equal to half alpha into mod of T dash minus T can be done 30 minus degree centigrade into 86,400 seconds. So those who want to copy the solution of the problem, they can take a pause and copy the solution of the problem. So if you divide the equation 1 with equation 2, so 10 by 5 equal to t minus 15 by 30 minus t. So you can get, that means on the right hand side half alpha gets cancelled, 86,400 also gets cancelled. So I'm dividing the equation 1 with equation 2. 86,400 gets cancelled, on the right side half alpha also gets cancelled. So you get 2 into 30 minus t equal to t minus 15. So those who want to copy the solution of the problem, they can take a pause and copy the solution of the problem. So you get 75 equal to 3t, or t is 25. So answer is 25 degrees centigrade. That means the pendulum clock shows correct time at a temperature of 25 degrees centigrade. In case you are asked to find the coefficient of linear expansion alpha of the material of the clock, you can substitute this value of t. That means you can substitute t equal to 25 in one of the equations. Suppose you substitute t equal to 25 from the in the first equation. You can find the value of alpha. For the material of the pendulum clock. But that's you are not asked in this question, but in case you are asked the value of alpha, you should be able to find. So here you get alpha equal to 25 minus 15. So you can substitute equal to 25 the first equation you get. So you get alpha equal to 2 by 86,400 farad centigrade. So look at the next special case, case 6 here. You find questions based on this case in the your board exam textbooks also. Is one of the applications of expansion of solids is bimetallic strips. So bimetallic strips are used in thermostats to break a circuit when the temperature of thermostat exceeds a particular value, and again to make the circuit at the required temperature. The bimetallic strip consists of two rectangular strips of same dimensions, same width and length, but made up of different materials with different metals with different coefficients of linear expansion. So when the bimetallic strip is heated, then when both the rods or metallic strips have same dimensions, the increase in length or change in length will be larger for the metal which has greater coefficient of linear expansion. So change in the length of a uniform rectangular metallic rod and temperature changes is given by, so delta L equal alpha into L into delta T. So in the figure I have shown two rods denoted by A and B, which are made up of different metals which have same original length and same original cross sectional area. They're joined side by side as shown in the figure. So when heated, if the coefficient of linear expansion of the metal A more than the coefficient of linear expansion of metal B. Then increase the length for rod A will more than the increase in the length for the rod B. That means alpha A more than alpha B. If then delta L for A is more than delta L. Increase the length is more, means final length is more. So the metallic strips, bimetallic strip bends in the form of almost in the form of arc of a circle. As you know, if you have arc of a circle, length of the circular arc is equal to radius of curvature of the arc into angle between the two radii at the extremities of the arc. So, because the rod A, which has greater value of coefficient of expansion, will have greater increase in length when heated. Therefore, the length of the outer arc more than the length of the inner arc. That means the metal which has greater coefficient of linear expansion will lie on the farther side of center of curvature, which has greater length. The metallic strip with greater coefficient of linear expansion expands more. Therefore, it will have greater final length, means it will lie on the outer side with slightly greater radius of curvature, because the final length of the rod A is more than the final length of rod B. So length of the arc for A is more than length of the arc for B for given value of theta. The same, so here I have shown, I will once read out what I have shown on the screen. When two rectangular strips of same dimensions of different metals are riveted together to form a bimetallic strip, then first point, when heated, bends with a metal of greater coefficient of linear expansion of the convex side. So in the figure I have left side I have shown the bimetallic strip before it is heated. So the right side figure shows the situation when the bimetallic strip is heated. So those who are writing the notes, please take a pause and write the notes up to here. I want to show another figure showing the situation when the bimetallic strip is cooled. So change in the length of uniform metal rod when it is heated is equal to alpha into original length into change in temperature. So when cooled, the length of the rod will decrease. So in general, a uniform metal rod is cooled, then decrease in the length can be written as alpha into original length into decrease in temperature. So for given original length and for same fall in temperature, if alpha is more, decrease the length will be more. Decrease in the length, suppose I have again shown the bimetallic strip on the left side before it is cooled. Then I have shown the situation where it is cooled. That means the left side shows the bimetallic strip in the normal state. So when it is cooled, the decrease in length or fall, contraction. Decrease in length or contraction will be more for the metal A, which has greater coefficient of linear expansion compared to the contraction or decrease in length for the rod made up of another metal B with smaller coefficient of linear expansion. So smaller the greater the contraction means the final length of rod A, when it is cooled, becomes smaller than the final length of rod B. Because when rod A contracts more, for same or initial length, when the contraction is more, the final length will be shorter. So final length of rod A will be shorter than the final length of rod B. Therefore, the rod A, the bimetallic strip bends in the form of arc of a circle. So the length of the inner arc will be smaller than the length of the outer arc. So the rod with smaller coefficient of linear expansion, because final length of rod A is smaller, it will lie on the inner side towards center of curvature of the arc. So I did read the conclusion that is shown on the screen here. When cooled, it bends with a metal of greater coefficient of linear expansion on the concave side. So this is the concave side in the figure. So if you want to copy the notes, you can take a pause and copy the notes. So next I am going to discuss one more special case here, case 7. So next I would like to discuss about the next special case, case 7, that is how to find the percentage change in the moment of inertia of an uniform rod when temperature changes. Please all of you stop writing now, concentrate to listen the discussion. So I will show you the notes in the next slide, that is after my discussion is completed. So you please concentrate here to listen to my discussion explanation. Now let us consider uniform metal rod of original length L. And coefficient of linear expansion alpha. So moment of inertia of the rod about the axis perpendicular to the length of the rod and passing through center of the rod is given by I equal ml square by 12. So when the temperature of the rod is increased by delta T, then final length of the rod at higher temperature denoted by L dash. Can write L into 1 plus alpha into delta T. So moment of inertia of the rod at higher temperature denoted by I dash. That you can write M into L dash square by 12. M is the mass of the rod which does not change on heating. We assume that the mass of the rod has not changed on heating here. So I dash by I. That is ml dash square by 12 divided by ml square by 12. So I dash by I can be written as L dash by L whole square. Now L dash can be written as L into 1 plus alpha into delta T. So you get I dash by I is equal to 1 plus alpha into delta T whole square. So if you expand this, A plus B whole square equal to A square plus 2AB plus B square. So using this formula, I can write it as 1 square plus 2 alpha delta T plus alpha square plus delta T square. But the term containing alpha square can be neglected compared to the other two terms. For example, alpha for steel rod is approximately about 12 in 10 power 6. That means the value of alpha for most of the metallic solids lies somewhere in between 10 power minus 4 to 10 power minus 9 per unit. So alpha square will be of the order of 10 power minus 8 to 10 power minus 18. So the term containing alpha square will be negligibly small, sensibly small compared to the other two terms. Therefore, I dash by I can nearly taken as 1 plus 2 alpha into delta t. If you carry 1 to the left side, I dash by I minus 1 is equal to alpha delta t, or I dash minus I by I equal to 2 alpha delta t. So I dash minus I can be written as equal to delta I. So here delta I represents the change in the moment of inertia of the rod. So I dash minus I can be denoted by delta I, which represents the change in the moment of inertia of the rod when temperature changes by delta T. So delta I by I is equal to alpha delta T. So percentage increase or change in the moment of inertia of the rod can be written as actual change in the moment of inertia of the rod divided by initial value of the moment of inertia of the rod into 100%. That is equal to 2 alpha delta t into 100%. So again I tell you, don't write running notes when I am explaining. You concentrate to listen to my discussion. So that will be 2 times the percentage increase in the length. I'd like to tell you how we can calculate percentage increase in the length or percentage increase in the area. So you can't concentrate to listen. I will show you all the conclusion systematic way in my next slides or notes. So percentage increase or fractional change in the moment of inertia of the rod I have discussed 2 alpha delta t. So percentage change in the moment of inertia of the rod, my short form for moment of inertia, is equal to 2 alpha delta t into 100%. Now coefficient of Lie expansion alpha can be written as, if alpha is assumed to be constant for given range of temperatures, then alpha you can write delta L by L into delta T, where delta L is the increase in the length of the rod or change in the length of the rod and temperature changes by delta T. So alpha into delta T, you can write delta L by L. So percentage, I would change in the length of the rod. Because actual change in the length of the rod divided by original length of the rod into 100%. So delta L by L can be written as alpha into delta T. So percentage change in the length of the rod when the rod is heated uniformly can be written as alpha into delta T, means change in temperature, into 100 degrees. Percentage change in the moment of inertia of the rod is about the axis perpendicular length of the rod. And passing through the center of the rod is 2 alpha delta T to 100%. That means you can observe that percentage change in the moment of inertia of the rod is 2 times the percentage change the length of the rod. Or you can also show to be same as the percentage change in the area of the rod. Similar conclusion can be written for other uniform regular solids. You concentrate to listen to my discussions. Don't start writing the notes immediately now. The coefficient of aerial expansion of the solid denoted by beta, you can write delta A by A into delta T. That means if the coefficient of aerial expansion of solid is constant for given change in temperature delta T, then beta can be written delta A by A into delta T. A is the original surface area of solid. Delta A is the change in the surface area. So delta A by A can be written as beta into delta T. So percentage change in the surface area of the solid when temperature changes. Can write actual change in the surface area of solid divided by original surface area into 100%. This delta A by A can be written as beta into delta T. So beta can be nearly written as 2 alpha. So alpha into delta T into 100%. You see the percentage change in the area of the solid, in the change in the length of solid. That means when a regular solid with uniform value coefficient of linear expansion is heated uniformly, then the percentage change in its surface area will be almost 2 times the percentage change in its length. In the same way, the coefficient of volume expansion of solid can be written as gamma equal to delta V by V into delta T. So gamma into delta T can be written as delta V by V. V is the original volume of solid. So delta V is the change in the volume of solid. When the temperature of solid is increased, changed by delta T. So percentage change in the volume of the solid when it is heated uniformly is equal to actual change in the volume of solid divided by original volume of solid whole multiplied by 100%. Now delta V by V, you can write gamma into delta T, where gamma is the coefficient of volume expansion of solid. So gamma can be rarely written as 3 alpha. So alpha into delta T into 100% can be written as equal to percentage change in the linear dimensions. So percentage change in the volume of the solid is in 3 times the percentage change in length. These conclusions are applicable even for solids of different shapes. For example, if uniform solid sphere is heated uniformly, then percentage change in the volume of solid can be taken as 3 times the percentage change in the linear diameter. That is 3 times the percentage change in the diameter of solid sphere. And percentage change in the surface area of the solid will be 2 times, nearly 2 times the percentage change in the linear dimension or diameter of solid. Of course, percentage change in the moment of inertia of uniform solid sphere about a diameter, when it is heated uniformly, will be same as the percentage change in its surface area. It is 2 times the percentage change in the linear dimensions. So now I am going to show you the summary of the discussion I have done regarding the calculation of percentage changes. So now look at the screen here. Those who are writing the notes or those who want to write the notes, come on, get ready with your notebook and pen. So I am going to dictate or show you the conclusion on the screen for special case 7. And in continuation, I will also show the working for the conclusion. So first I am going to read out the conclusion of the present discussion. So look at the screen, the conclusion of case 7. When a thin uniform metal rod is heated uniformly and the fractional change in its moment of inertia about the axis perpendicular to its length and passing through the center of mass of the rod is given by delta I by I equal to alpha into delta T, which is twice the fractional change in the length of the rod. Here alpha is the coefficient of linear expansion and delta T is the change in the temperature of the rod. Come on, those who are writing the notes, please take a pause and finish writing the notes up to here. So I am going to show the continuation of screen, that is the working for this conclusion. So look at the screen for working. The final length L dash can be written as original length L into 1 plus alpha into delta T. So I dash by I. Here I is the moment of inertia of the rod before it is heated. I dash is the new value of moment of inertia of the rod when it is heated. So I is written as ml square by 12. I dash can be written as ml dash square by 12. So I dash mass of the rod can be assumed to be same both before heating and after heating. So L dash by L whole square. You can substitute L dash equal L into 1 plus alpha delta T. So or we get I dash by I equal 1 plus alpha delta T whole square. So you can write 1 plus 2 alpha delta T plus alpha square delta T square. So you can write I dash by I nearly equal to 1 plus 2 alpha into delta T. So within brackets you can write alpha neglecting alpha square into delta T whole square. So those who are writing the notes, please take a pause and finish writing the notes up to here. So you can write I dash by I minus 1 equal to alpha delta T. Or I dash minus I by I equal to alpha delta T. So those who are writing the notes, please take a pause and finish writing the notes up to here. So I dash minus I can be denoted by delta I. So or you can write delta I by I equal to alpha delta T. So those who are writing the note, please take a pause and finish writing the notes up to here. So I am going to show the continuation in my next slide. So fractional change in the length of the rod is equal to L dash minus L by L, which you can write L dash by L minus L by L. L dash you can write L into 1 plus alpha into delta T. L by L can be written as 1. So you get 1 plus alpha delta T minus 1. Or delta L by L you can write alpha into delta T. Therefore, percentage increase in the moment of inertia of the rod is nearly double the percentage increase in the length of the rod. So those who want to copy the notes, please take a pause and finish writing the notes up to here. Then you see the case 8. which I also have discussed here, that is regarding percentage changes. So I want to first show you the conclusions of the case 8 regarding the calculation of percentage changes, which I already discussed. Later I show you the working. So look at the conclusion, next conclusion which you have to remember in the special cases. This is the case 8. I'm going to read out the conclusion now. Regular uniform solid is heated uniformly and the percentage increase in its volume will be nearly 3 times the percentage increase in length or linear dimension. The percentage increase in the surface area of solid will be nearly 2 times the percentage increase in its length. So those who want to copy the conclusions, please take a pause and finish writing the notes up to here. I am going to show you the continuation. The next slide. Look at the screen for working. We can write alpha equal delta L by L into delta T, or fractional change in the length equal delta L by L, that you can write alpha into delta T, or percentage change in the length, you can write delta L by L into 100%, or you can write alpha into delta T into 100%. So percentage change in dimensions depends on change in temperature and alpha, but does not depend on the original dimensions. For example, if you consider two uniform rods made up of same metal, let us suppose one of the rods has a length of 1 meter, I mean original length. Second rod, both are made up of, let us suppose, steel, and say another steel uniform steel rod has a length of 2 meters at same temperature. Both the rods are made up of steel, that is same metal, therefore alpha is same. So when both the rods are having same area of cross section, but original lengths are different. So when heated, increase the length of the second rod will be naturally greater than the increase the length of first rod, because increase length is proportional to the original length. But percentage change in the length does not depend on the initial length. So percentage change in the length of second rod is same as the percentage change in the length of first rod. So percentage change in the length or linear dimensions depends only on change in temperature and the coefficient of linear expansion. So those who want to copy the working, take a pause and finish writing up to here. I want to show the continuation here. So you can write beta equal delta A by A into delta T, or fractional change in the area delta A by A equal beta into delta T, and percentage change in area is equal delta A by A into 100%, or beta into delta T into 100%. Beta can nearly taken as 2 alpha. So percentage change in area, you can write 2 alpha into delta T into 100%. That means percentage change in the area of solid is almost 2 times the percentage change in the length of solid, or percentage change in the area is 2 times the percentage change in the linear dimension. The percentage change in the area also does not depend on the initial area. Depends only on change in temperature and the value of coefficient of expansion. So those who want to copy the working, please take a pause and finish writing the working up to here. So I want to show the continuation in my next slide. So here within brackets are written, since beta is nearly equal to alpha. So you can write gamma equal delta V by V into delta T, or fractional change the volume of solid. Delta V by V equal gamma into delta T. or percentage change in the volume. Here it is typed as area. You correct it as volume is equal to delta V by V into 100%. That you can write delta V by equal to gamma into delta T. Gamma can nearly taken as equal to 3 alpha. So 3 alpha into 100%. Because gamma is nearly equal to 3 alpha. So percentage change in the volume of solid. You can take 3 times the percentage change in the length of solid. So those who want to copy the working, please take a pause and finish writing the working here. I have made that correction here on the PPT. So instead of area, I write volume here. So next I am going to solve a problem based on the present discussion. Look at the problem number 5. The percentage decrease in the area of thin plate is 0.04% on cooling by 10 degrees centigrade. What is the coefficient of cubical expansion of the plate? So we have coefficient of areal expansion. Beta is equal to change in the area by original area into by delta T. So delta A by A, you can write beta into delta T. Beta can nearly taken as equal to alpha. So percentage change. Delta A is the change in the area. So if you multiply both sides with minus sign, you can write minus delta A by A is equal to 2 alpha into minus delta T. So change in the temperature means final temperature T dash minus original temperature T. So decrease in temperature, I mean when the solid is cooled, the final temperature T dash will be smaller than the initial temperature T. Then delta T will be negative. But decrease in temperature can be T minus T dash or minus delta T. So delta A is the change in the surface area of solid of the plate. So minus delta A decrease in the surface area. Therefore, percentage decrease in the surface area of the solid can be written as 2 alpha by. You have to multiply both sides with 100. Percentage decrease in area is equal to actual decrease in area by original area into 100%. So that is minus delta A by A into 100%. That is equal to 2 alpha into minus delta T to 100%. Minus delta T is the decrease in temperature. So percentage decrease in area is given to 0.04%. So decrease minus delta T is decrease in temperature, that will be same whether you express in degrees centigrade or Kelvin. Plus that is 10 degrees centigrade into 100. So you can solve this for alpha. So left side you can write into 100%. 4 into 10 power minus 2 by 2 into 10 degrees centigrade into 100. That is alpha. So you get alpha equal, if you simplify this, 2 into 10 to the power of minus 5 by degree centigrade. Coefficient of cubical expansion means you have to find the value of gamma. Gamma is nearly equal to 3 alpha. That is 3 to 2 into 10 power minus 5 per degree centigrade or 6 into 10 power minus 5 per degree. That's the answer. So those who want to copy the solution of this problem, please take a pause and copy the solution of the problem. Look at the next problem based on similar discussion. Problem number 6. I am going to read out the problem 6 now. The volume of metal block changes by 0.12% when it is heated through 20 degrees centigrade. Then the coefficient of aerial expansion of solid in per degree centigrade is. So coefficient of volume expansion, you can write gamma is equal to delta V by V into delta T. So delta V by V can be written as gamma into delta T. So percentage change in the volume can be written as actual change in the volume by original volume into 100%. That you can write gamma into delta T into 100%. So percentage change in the volume of the solid, you can write gamma into change in the temperature into 100%. It is given that the volume of the metal block, I will read out the question again. If the volume of metal block changes by 0.12% when it is heated through 20 degrees centigrade, then the coefficient of aerial expansion of solid in per degree centigrade. Percentage change in the volume is given as 0.12%. Change in temperature is 20 degrees centigrade. So from that, you can find gamma. So 0.12 by 20 degrees centigrade to 100. That is gamma. So gamma can be written as 12 by 2 into this is 10 power minus 2 by 10 cube. So gamma you get as 6 into 10 power minus 5, 30. So gamma can be taken as nearly 3 alpha, or alpha can be written as gamma by 3. So you are asked to find coefficient of aerial expansion of solid. That means you have to find the value of beta. Beta can be nearly taken as 2 alpha or 2 gamma by 3. So 2 by 3 times gamma is 6 into 10 power minus 5. So you can simplify it further. So you get the answer as 4 into 10 power minus 5 per degree centigrade. So answer is 4 into 10 to the power of minus 5 per degree centigrade. So those who want to copy the solution of the problem, please take a pause and copy the solution of the problem. So for problem number 6, which I have just discussed now, I have shown options on the screen. I have already discussed the problem. So first option will be the answer. So in the next, there are 2 more special cases which I am going to discuss related to thermal stress. That means if you consider uniform wire fixed between 2 fixed points, rigid supports. The wire is initially just taut with negligible tension. Then when the wire is cooled, the wire tends to contract. But the 2 ends of the wire are connected between 2 rigid supports. Therefore, the contraction is prevented by the support by exerting stretching force at each end. Okay, the discussion cannot be completed in this class. I will do the discussion regarding thermal stress in my next class.